Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
A Detroit fire rig parked outside a Melvindale bar. Police asked the firefighters if they're drinking while on duty.
Tonight, the Local 4 defenders have the answer and reaction from the DFD commissioner. It's the latest alcohol-related issue for the Detroit Fire Department following two high-profile incidents over the past year.
Last February, the driver of Squad 6 hit a parked car while responding to a medical emergency. Then in March 2021, a DFD captain who was under the influence crashed an SUV, leaving it dangling over the Lodge Freeway.
Local 4 defender Sean Lake joins us live with what happened at that bar outside the city Friday night. Sean, it's already led to disciplinary action, sounds like.
True, suspensions without pay. And we can show everyone Detroit Fire Engine 48 parked right here on Allen Road in front of Hops and Barley, where there is no parking here on busy Allen Road. 911 calls were made accusing these firefighters of drinking inside and outside of the bar. And a Melvindale officer, according to this report, was dispatched here on a call of disorderly conduct. Now, that officer was wearing a body camera. We can show you what he discovered when he encountered those firefighters.
We were being all right? Yeah. No, we're not being all right. I gotta make sure you guys aren't drinking.
The Local 4 defenders with this Melvindale police body camera video from Friday night.
It's a first for me. I pull up, I see a fire truck, yeah.
The Melvindale officer called to Hops and Barley Bar to investigate on-duty Detroit firefighters. The crew of Engine 48, including a lieutenant, driving the fire engine 3.4 miles from Detroit to Melvindale, parking the truck on Allen Road right in front of the bar. The crew tells police they're having dinner, sending off a member of the crew who's transferring.
I got no problem with you guys coming here as long as you guys aren't drinking and driving, obviously. And is there any way you guys can move that off the street? Yeah, we're going to go now.
In the police report, the officer said he did not see any alcohol. The firefighters did not appear to be intoxicated. Calls about the firefighters were made to 911. That's how the fire department found out about it, sending the crew for drug and alcohol testing. Alcohol was found in the system of the fire engine driver. Interim Fire Commissioner Chuck Sims has been on the job for less than a month.
To drive that there with alcohol in the system, what do you think?
I'm not going to tolerate that. Like I said before, we got to do what's best for the citizens of Detroit. And if we have a member that's intoxicated while at work, that's not benefiting the citizens of Detroit.
It's just firefighters coming here and celebrating a buddy that's leaving. They're just whatever. The fire truck's parked on the Allen though, but they're leaving right now. So no one's drunk.
So the Detroit firefighter who drove Engine 48 here, he's been suspended without pay. Alcohol found in his system. The lieutenant that was with this crew also suspended without pay. I'm told his drug and alcohol screen did come back inconclusive. Commissioner Sims points out it's not indicative here what happened of the men and women of the department who work very hard every single day. He also points out that the program's fairly new peer-to-peer program. He says firefighters are taking part in that, and the department continues to work on the employee assistance program if people do need help. Kimberly, Devin, back to you.
Sean, just curious, did that crew get any calls that could have been impacted by them being in Melvindale?
Well, Engine 48 is right on Fort Street, right near the Marathon plant. So, things could happen, but we're told by the commissioner they got one call in 24 hours. So they were out of position, but no emergency calls came while they were here.
Okay, Sean, thank you. Devin.
Turning our attention now to the coronavirus, some encouraging signs in the state's latest data. 5,380 new cases over the past 3 days, so that would put the average below the 2,000 mark for the first time since September. 60 more deaths also being reported over those same 3 days. Meanwhile, there's a new effort and more funding to try to increase vaccinations in kids and families across Detroit. DPSCD is the first district in the state to become an immunization provider. A $100,000 grant from MDHHS will create mobile vaccination clinics across the district.
Traffic is once again flowing from the Ambassador Bridge after Canadian officials reclaim it following an almost week-long blockade. Police in Windsor cleared the loosely organized Freedom Convoy demonstrations and towed cars on Sunday. However, the protests continue in other parts of Canada. Today in Alberta, police broke up an armed group that was prepared to use violence to back a blockade at a western border crossing with the United States. In an effort to end the blockades, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is invoking a never-before-used Canadian law that allows him to send more resources to provinces and territories to address a national emergency. All right, well, some of the snow we got Sunday melted away as the sun made an appearance, but get ready for some more frigid temperatures overnight.
Might be one of those nights to bump up the thermostat a degree or two, Andrew.
That's right, a snuggle alert, bump up the thermostat, get a little closer to your sweetie. That is certainly appropriate for Valentine's Day and as we go into tonight. A few flakes are flying around too. Maybe some of you are headed out to dinner. Just watch out for a few slippery spots from yesterday's snow or some of this additional snow, although it's not very much that's falling here in Detroit and southeast Michigan. Just a few flakes that are flying here in Wayne County, including right here in Detroit and places like Hamtramck. A few more just off to the north and west across southern portions of Oakland County, but not too much upstream. So we're looking at drier conditions closer to midnight and afterward. Currently, we're looking at temperatures mostly around 20 degrees. They've been that way all afternoon long. We've got cloudier skies for now. At Metro Airport, it's now 19 degrees, a wind chill of 9, so that's what we need to brace for as we head out this evening. Temperatures for now in the upper teens, but fall to the middle and low teens, even single digits when you join us after the Olympics tonight. More on overnight tonight, tomorrow, and your next 7 days coming up.
All right, Andrew. U.S. officials are warning that Russia could launch an invasion of Ukraine as soon as this week, though they continue to hold out hope that diplomacy can prevail. President Biden spoke with the Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky over the weekend, but there were no major breakthroughs. Russia's top diplomat did hint today that the possibility of a diplomatic resolution of the crisis is possible. Meanwhile, the U.S. is closing its embassy in Kyiv and relocating remaining diplomatic personnel to the western part of Ukraine. Here in Michigan, the state's substantial population of Ukrainian Americans is mobilizing to do whatever they can to help people who may need to flee Ukraine. Paula Tutman now live with a look at what they're able to do right now and the difference that could make. Paula.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, this is a different kind of battle on this front. So I want you to think about this. First of all, Metro Detroit has a huge Ukrainian American population. These folks have folks over there. We're about 5,200 miles away from Ukraine here in Warren, but there's still quite a bit you can do on the ground level here. A small child holds up a sign with one important message: help. At a recent prayer service at the St. Mary Ukrainian Orthodox Cathedral in Southfield,
I want to be honest with you. If we want to achieve peace when we're facing somebody like Vladimir Putin, we have to act and unite and be very, very strong.
the importance of Congressman Andy Levin and Oakland County Exec Dave Coulter in attendance is it shows the lightning speed in which local Ukrainian Americans have moved to gain notice, influence, and support in an organized and efficient manner.
Ukrainian American organizations in Metro Detroit had an emergency meeting to see if we could figure out a way for us to coordinate our response to the threat that Ukraine was facing.
In Michigan, there are 50,000 people who identify as Ukrainian American with strong family ties and deep friendships with people who may be in harm's way. And so in the last 14 days, a yeoman's effort to build a different kind of army is being built with lightning speed with the Ukrainian American Crisis Response Committee of Michigan. Mykala Mirsky is the newly installed chair of the organization that is getting prepared to mount a physical and financial response to Ukrainians who may have to flee the nation if invaded.
So we formed committees that would help with collecting humanitarian aid should there be an invasion and a subsequent refugee crisis. We formed committees to help engage our public officials.
It means getting ducks in a row, preparing the infrastructure to collect money quickly, putting the logistics in place now to rapidly curate blankets and winter clothing, and to get those critical items beyond the Ukrainian border, working with other organizations across the nation and the world, like European allies, to make sure Ukrainians have an actual place of safety to go should they become fleeing refugees. And the time to get ready is now, before the infrastructure of humanitarianism is actually needed. Yeah, and the thought is that if it does turn into an invasion, there could be as many, or there could be as many as 1 to 5 million Ukrainian refugees. So the time to be proactive, not reactive, but proactive is right now, guys.
Got to be awfully nerve-wracking for so many of these folks to watch what's going on overseas. All right, Paula.
Absolutely. Education is one of the professions where the impact of the pandemic is most obvious. Teachers have been through more than they ever imagined, and that's led to a critical shortage of teachers statewide. Local 4's Rod Maloney is live with what the Michigan Education Association revealed earlier today. Rod?
Yeah, Kimberly, they did a study back in August on teacher satisfaction, then redid it at the end of January so they could have a comparison. And what we're finding is there are a lot of very unsatisfied teachers out there. Michigan Education Association President Paula Herbart says it's worse than we all know.
Michigan teachers, support staff, and other public school employees are at a breaking point.
The results of the January study list concerns you'd expect: staffing shortages, student behavioral issues and mental health problems, attacks on teachers, and of course school funding. But there's a warning sign here. It starts with job satisfaction. 70% are somewhat or not satisfied with their work, and that's up 16% in 6 months. The study's author, Emma White, says COVID only made a difficult classroom situation worse.
COVID has made their workloads harder, and that's partly, the staffing shortages, right? Which are both short-term because people are out sick, and longer-term because people are leaving the profession.
And that's the real eye-opener here, the number of educators wanting out of your child's school or are already on their way out. 14% of educators want to leave the profession. Best estimates of retirements are at 20%, and nearly 10% are looking to leave their district for another. And with the survey showing 25% of educators with 6 to 10 years on the job are planning to leave the profession, there's only one other thing that could make matters worse.
There's a dramatic drop in people entering student education programs. So we can find out that information. It's about a 50% drop over the last 10 years.
And so the point to this today by the MEA is to sort of drum up support for the governor's budget, because she's looking to put more than $18 billion into education, which includes retention and entry bonuses for teachers to attract more to the profession. Of course, in Lansing, this is a negotiation. Whether the governor's budget goes intact is highly unlikely. So what will it end up looking like? We'll have to stay on top of that. Reporting live in Detroit, Rod Maloney, back to you.
You will. Okay, Rod, thanks.